Welcome back, guys. This is Eliot's Excel exercises. Thank you for watching. Today we'll be talking about the SUMIF function. Last time we were talking about the equals sum function. You can go and check out that video now if you haven't seen it. Now back to the SUMIF. A little bit about this. It sums all numbers that meet a criteria. So as you see, I've added a small little section here for unique accounts and the amount. Today I'll be showing you how to use the SUMIF function to be grabbing the totals of each account uniquely. And again, as always, you could see my notes on the right side for any quick references as we watch. So to start off, this is probably one of my favorite functions. And the reason for that is you're basically taking a large amount of data, getting two fields from it, in this case it would be account and amount, and making it into a tiny email sized data set, which I would like to call very easy to read. So let's get started. We're going to start with equals as always, and let's just type in sum. Last time I told you about this little pop-up window that shows you all of the formulas that have the word sum in it. You'll see the second one is the SUMIF. We'll be using that one. So go ahead, scroll down to this using your directional keys on your keyboard, and then you can just hit tab and it does it for you. As you see here, we will need a range, a criteria, and a sum range. Last video I mentioned that if whatever it needs is in brackets, then it's optional. For this time, we're definitely going to need it, and I'll show you why. So let's start off by putting a range. We want our range to be our data set. So click and drag from one corner to the next, just like I did here. Then we're going to hit comma. The next thing we need is our criteria. So if we're writing it in J4, then we'll need the criteria to be I4. So I'm going to click that. Notice how the different selections are different colors. This is just to keep you visually aware of what ties into what. Notice how the B4 and the G24 are blue over on the left side, and then the I4, the new selection that I just made, is red. Hit comma again, and our sum range. Which part of this data set do you want Excel to add up for you? So of course we want amount based on the header. We'll go over back to our data set and we're going to sum up the amount, just like that. Oh, there you go, just like that. Notice how this time it's like a purple. Again, it's a third box that we've created, so Excel is trying to make it a little bit easier for us with the colors, which is great. And you finished here, so you go ahead and hit enter. And now we have a $9,207.58. So you're thinking, how can I validate this to make sure that Excel is adding it up correctly? And I'll show you that. If you grab any 10,000 account over on this side, so let's find them. We have them one here. We have two here. And it looks like that's it. So on 14, 17, and 18 on the amounts, let's click, hold Control, click the next one, and then we can click the final third one. That right there is multiple selecting cells. Very convenient for tasks like this. So we have our three amounts selected. We have the $18, we have the $9,176 $13.10, and we have the $13.48. Now remember to look down here in your bottom right, down in the sum, and what do we have? We have the $9,207.58. And it matches what our formula gave us. So that right there basically validated us, and we can trust that Excel did the correct calculation. So the next thing I want to teach you guys is locking your cells, and I'll show you why. So last time you discovered that you can take this plus sign, right, and take it and drag the formula down, because we want the formula to hit the 21,000 account, the 22,000 account, the 32,000 account, and so on. So let's take that formula and drag it down. Okay, it looks like it worked. But did it really? We always have to validate our own work in Excel. Excel can only do as much as we tell it to, and if we tell it to do something wrong, it's not going to tell us that we did something wrong. We have to validate our own work, and I'll show you why. So over here, you'll see in my notes section, we have a check formulas subject. Obviously, we can show the formula in a cell, because right here on the page, you can't really tell which cells have formulas in them. So what we can do is go over to a cell and either hit F2 or double click. So right here I'm going to hit F2. This put the cell back into editing mode. And right here we could see exactly all of our selections that we've made before. We have the B4 through G24, we have the I4, and we have the E4 to E24. As you can see, again, all of the boxes are colored, the letters in the formula are colored, everything's easy and manageable, and you can see it very clearly. So, okay, that formula is working. Let's check the next formula. Wait a second. I noticed the boxes got moved down. Do you see right here that we lost the fourth column in our data set? So, okay, there's something wrong there. So let's check the next one. Again, it moved it down. This happens when you drag the formula down without locking the cells. So let's start over. We know the first one's correct, so we can leave the first one. So here's what you want to do. In my notes section, you have the locked cells, which it locks the ranges when filling a formula. The shortcut key for that is F4. So let's go into our formula. You could see it up here as well. So what you want to do is, which of these ranges do you want to make sure that they're static, not dynamic? You want them to be the same for the rest of the 6 accounts we have below. So we always want to make sure that our data set is complete. It doesn't include the headers and it doesn't include the totals. We always want to make sure that it's just right where it is at all times. So what you can do is go over to the B4 and G24, because that's our data set selection. Now click somewhere in between the B and the 4 or next to the B or something like that. It doesn't really matter too much. And then hit F4. Right there you'll notice that 2 dollar signs appeared in that selection. You have the $ B, you have the $4. That is the symbol to show you that it's been locked. So you'll also need to lock the next selection, the G24. So we'll hit F4 on that as well. So we can hit enter. And now let's drag our formulas down one more time just to see what it did. So the amounts are pretty different from what they were before, aren't they? So let's check to make sure that everything's right. You hit F2. Okay, so we see that the blue portion of the square is correct. That looks like it stayed, but that purple one is still moving around, right? So we'll need to go back and lock that one too. So let's go up to here into E4, hit F4, E24, you can hit F4 again. So right now we have a bunch of the dollar signs in there, and all of our ranges are locked except for the I4. Do you know why? Well, if we locked the I4, and I'll just show you now, if we locked the I4 and we dragged this formula down, we get the same result every time. And that's because it's always looking at the 10,000 account, right? So we don't want that. The point of filling the formula down is to basically dynamically react to the cells next to it. So here we don't want the lock on the account number, right? So we're going to take the dollar signs off of that and you hit enter again. So let's take the formula one more time and drag it down. There we go. We get a bunch of the numbers as they should be. So again, we can validate this, right? Hit F2. Okay, the blue square is right where it needs to be. The purple rectangle is right where it needs to be. And it's selecting the correct account number. Let's move down. Everything looks like it's being good and balanced, and we can validate and confirm that all of this data is correct. Another way we can validate this is, remember from last video, the equal sum function. Well, if you balance in one place, you should balance in another place, right? So go ahead and hit equal sum on this selection. Go down to here and hit enter. We have the 3,195,000, whatever it is, and we can confirm that it equals the amount down in the original data set. If both of those equal, then we can trust that the formula is working to the best of its ability. Now that's an incredibly powerful function to create. Like I said, this data set's only, 20 lines long. If you're working with over 100,000, 10,000 lines, whatever it is, and you only have a handful of unique accounts or some other identifier, like maybe a check number. Check number is not a good example, but maybe a date. Those would be a good example to take that 100,000 line data set and move it down to something so sample sized, but it gives you the same information. Obviously it's more of like a summary because it's not giving you all of the information, like you have the date entered and then it doesn't include any coverage paid or anything like that. Although you could, but for this example we only have the account and the amount. So that's it with this formula. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to practice on your own. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you liked it. Have a good day.